Hello students. So in our previous lecture we started with chapter 1, that was crop production and crop management. Okay, so we started with the introduction and then we started with the first topic, that was agricultural practices. So simply the methods which are used for doing agriculture are called agricultural practices. So I already told you that in agricultural practices we will be doing the 7 steps in detail one by one. So in previous class we have already discussed the first 2 steps, that were, first was your preparation of soil, second was selection and sowing of seeds. So today we are going to start with the third one, that is addition of manures and fertilizers. So first of all the question arises that why we need manures and fertilizers. So as if we will continue growing crops on a particular piece of a land every year, so what will happen, the crops, as they will be utilizing the nutrients of the soil, so the soil will become devoid of the nutrients. It will start lacking nutrients, or in simple words we can say it will start losing its fertility. So in order to replenish those nutrients back to the soil so that it doesn't lose its fertility, we have to add these manures and fertilizers. Okay, so their addition will make our soil fertile and we can continue growing plants in that particular piece of land, right? So starting with this topic, so as I already told that why there is a need, because the depletion of nutrients will be taking place, so replenishment is very necessary, right? So now let us start first of all with the manures. What are manures and what are the advantages that are being offered by the manures? So manures are basically the organic substances which are formed from the decomposition of dead plants and animals. So we can say in a way they are the natural substances, right? So they will be rich in the organic nutrients. Yeah, so they will be rich in the organic nutrients. As they are bulky, so they will be very difficult to transport. So next thing is no harm, means they are natural, so they will not be causing any harm to our land. And also they will improve the water holding capacity as well as soil texture and make our soil more porous. So soil more porous means the gaseous exchange will be easily possible when our soil will be porous, right? As they are not soluble in water, so they will not be used immediately, like as soon as we add them in a field, so they will not show the immediate results, right? Because they will take some time in order to get dissolved and then they will be showing the results. And a very common example of the manures is compost. Okay, so this is all about the manures. Organic substances giving the organic nutrients, bulky, difficult to transport, no harm, improves the soil texture, not soluble in water. An example is compost. Now next, coming to the fertilizers, they are the entirely opposite of the manures. How? So as manures, they were the natural substances formed from the dead and decaying plants and animals. But these are the man-made chemicals which have been manufactured in the industries and factories. Okay, so they will be definitely very rich in the inorganic nutrients such as NPK, which stands for nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, right? As they come in the small packets, so easy transportation is there. And definitely when they are chemicals, so we are adding some chemicals to our soil, so they will be causing the soil as well as the water pollution. Okay, and their overuse will make the soil less fertile. Okay, so with the continuous usage over years and years, what will happen? The depletion of the soil will start taking place, right? Next is they are used immediately. How? Because they dissolve very easily in water, so they will be used quickly. Okay, examples are urea, potash and ammonium sulfate. Okay, so these are some of the examples of the fertilizers, right? So we can simply say that manures are for slow results and these fertilizers are for the fast results. And another thing is manures, they will not be fulfilling the specific deficiencies of some nutrients, whereas these fertilizers, they are specifically fulfilling those deficiencies. Okay, then next, apart from adding manures and fertilizers, some other methods for improving the soil fertility are, the very first one is leaving the field fallow. So fallow means leaving the land empty. So in this method, the land is left empty, vacant, means no farming is done for some period of time. So during that time, what will happen? Soil will get that time in order to replenish back its nutrients. Okay, so we are going to leave our land fallow for some time. So during that time, regaining, we can say, or replenishment, we can say, it will be taking place, right? Then next is crop rotation. So in crop rotation, what happens? We will not be growing the same crop every season. Okay, so in this method, different crops will be grown in the different seasons. Okay, so what will be the advantage of this crop rotation? Like, in the first season we are growing wheat, and in the next season we are growing peas, grams and groundnuts. So different crops, they use different nutrients. Like whatever nutrients will be used by the wheat in the very first season, they will not be used by these peas, grams and groundnut. Okay, so in simple words, we can say that in second season, when these are there in our field, our soil, our land will get time to make the nutrients which were used during the first season. So that is your rotation, crop rotation. So here I just told you that wheat can be, alternate with peas, grams and groundnuts. So basically what are these? These are the leguminous plants. Okay, leguminous plants means, like, in their root nodules, rhizobium bacteria will be present. Okay, rhizobium bacteria will be present. So what it will be doing? Rhizobium bacteria, what it will be doing? It will convert the atmospheric nitrogen into some useful compounds which will be used by the plants. Okay, so this relationship, when both are getting benefit from each other, how? See, here rhizobium is giving nitrogen compounds to the plants, and plants in turn, they are giving shelter to the rhizobium bacteria. So both are getting benefit from each other. Such a relationship is called symbiotic relationship. Okay, it is your symbiotic relationship. Clear? Then what else can be done? Mixed cropping can also be done in order to improve the fertility, and also crops with the shallow root system can be alternate with the plants with the deep root system. Okay, so this will also help in giving more stability to the soil and also helps in preventing soil erosion. Okay, so third point we have discussed, that is addition of manures and fertilizers. First, manures. Second, fertilizers. Third, leaving the field fallow. Fourth one is crop rotation. Okay, now coming to the next agricultural practice, that is irrigation. Okay, so this is the fourth agricultural practice. So once your land is prepared, your seeds are sown, your manures and fertilizers are added, so next irrigation is also very much required. So simply giving the supply of water to the plants for their proper growth is called irrigation. Okay, so plants, they will be using the fertilizers, minerals only in the presence of water. Okay, so presence of water is must for the growth of plants. So there can be the different sources of irrigation, like here you can see rainfall, wells, canals, tube wells, pond, lakes and rivers. So from these different sources the water can be used. Okay, then so here you go with some of the traditional methods of irrigation, like which were used in the olden days. So one is Dhekli, chain pump, moat, rahat. So in all these methods, kettles and humans were used to pull the water. So definitely you can imagine, the water was being pulled by applying the force. So it required a lot of hard work, lot of labor and lot of time. And even though they were not efficient methods, because the amount of water which used to come out, that was very less. So here you can see the images of all the four traditional methods, right? Then now here more next is your modern methods of irrigation. So here two methods I'm going to tell you. The first one is sprinkler system. Now in sprinkler system, what happens, one main pipe will be there and it will be connected with the different pipes. Okay, so here the water will be sprinkled over the field. Okay, so we can say the main benefit it offers is that it will be very useful in those areas where uneven land is present. Okay, because water is sprinkled from the top, so it will get distributed properly. Okay, so next is drip irrigation. Now in drip irrigation, the water is being supplied only to those areas where your plants are present. Suppose if I say this is a field, okay, so here plants will be present at the different places. So here the water will be supplied only to those areas where your plants are present. So rest of the field will not be receiving the water. So it saves a lot of water. Even both the methods, sprinkler as well as drip irrigation system, both the methods save a lot of water. So usually they are preferred in those areas where there is a scarcity of water, desert areas are there. Okay, so these are being followed, and even government is also giving subsidies if a person, if a farmer employs these methods in his or her field. Okay, so some amount of subsidy is given by which he can just set up these in his or her field. Right, so this was about your irrigation. So today we have covered third and the fourth agricultural practice. Thank you.